talk about consumers for a change. I think before now we've done a lot of sort of high-level stuff, and this panel we're going to talk about pricing, distributed energy resources, and consumers, and how do we integrate the consumers into the grid. So I'm going to introduce everyone just very briefly. On my left here is Paul Lau. He's the Assistant General Manager at the Sacramento Municipal Utility District. He's responsible for overseeing the purchase and sales of SMUD's gas and electric commodities, the reliability of the electric generation, transmission, and distribution systems, and SMUD's renewable portfolio standard. Is that all? Anything else? To his left is Lorenzo Christoph, who is the Principal Market and Infrastructure Policy at the California Independent System Operator. He develops CAISO policy in the areas of market design, transmission planning, new generator interconnection, and integration of distributed energy resources. To his left is Cameron, who is somewhere else. No, that's me. Cameron Brooks, President of Tolerable Planet Enterprises, a strategic consulting firm focused on the intersection of energy market design, clean energy innovation, and consumer technologies. And last but not least, Salah Kilichote. How do you pronounce it? Is that correct? Kilichote. All right. She's a research scientist at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. She's a group leader of the Grid Integration Group and deputy of the Demand Response Research Center at the Energy Storage and Distributed Resources Department at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, where I also used to work. So we've crossed paths a few times. So today we're going to be talking again about rates, distributed energy resources, and how to integrate the consumer into this new smarter than smart electric grid. So I'm going to start off by letting everyone introduce themselves a little bit and talk a bit about what they do and what their organizations do in regards to that topic. So Paul.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody hear me okay? Well, besides actually, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to kind of share with you at least what my personal view and at least what SMUD is actually doing in terms of addressing, I think, the topics that's keeping me, our CEO, and some of our executives at night. So I'm just very happy to hear that, there's a lot of smart people working on this thing, and I think from just all the panel discussion that you heard today is a pretty complex issue. So just a little bit about myself. I've been with the utility business for about 32 years, and before I take on my current role, I was also the chief customer officer and the technology officer. So designing rates and understanding what customer renewables and this whole continuum that you hear about today. Well, how does PVs, how does EVs, how does distributed energy storage, right? How do you actually maximize the value those brings for our customer and for community, and yet not set up artificial barriers? And you keep hearing today, there's one common theme that comes across is that we need to look at, which is the rates. So I think you heard Alan talk about earlier that we've always been kind of forefront, in doing rate design, as we're looking at, the introduction of all this new technology into our systems. Now, fortunately, we don't actually have, or unfortunately, depends how you look at it, we don't have the high penetrations of DGs like you see in San Diego. We have about 5% penetration of EVs. We have about maybe, about 2,300 PVs. No, it's actually 7,300 PVs and about 1,500 EVs. So when we actually look at, how do you actually right now incentivize customers to adopt those technology? Then we realize, we say, one thing that we have right now is our utility systems across the US, we just kind of still stuck, our rate structures kind of stuck in the past. We have a volumetric tier system. So it doesn't give customer any transparencies on how to use energy, and even worse, it doesn't give them any price signals about how they're using it. So kind of being a little forefront, we say, we see what's happening. We know the whole discussion about the net metering piece. I think a lot of us who's in the industry heard about Jim Avery in San Diego hearing about, well, it's kind of a death spiral if you keep actually loading it on, on the back of those people that on the higher tiers. And how do you actually bring transparencies if there's any rate subsidies into the mix? How do you actually take care of that? So we're very fortunate in 2009 that the R grant came out and said, we were brave enough to, or foolish enough, depends how you look at it. We actually asked the DOE for a $127 million grant. And with that, 10 million of it, we said, we really want to test the rates. We really want to test a lot of the assumptions that's kind of commonly held within the utility sector. So we said, you know what? We really want to start actually thinking about how do you transition people from the traditional volumetric tier structure